Welcome, excuse me, welcome to Beware Spoilers. I am Adam. So I didn't have high hopes for this movie going into it. I'm gonna admit that out of the gate. Talking, of course, of Sonic the Hedgehog, which came out almost a month ago at this point, and it's kind of been a little bit of a Alita kind of energy to it. And when I say that, I mean it's been latched onto by idiots on the internet who think that they can compare it to a movie that had lead women in it. Because they came out at similar times, despite having very little in common. At least the Alita, Captain Marvel, sorry, it's raining and I guess my shoe gets slipped. At least the Alita, Captain Marvel, you can kind of see with some logic, internal logic, why they were compared to each other. Because, like, they both had leading women, and the reason why more right-leaning comic book sites latched onto Alita over Captain Marvel, independent of Brie Larson's comments off-screen, which are taken wildly out of context, was the fact that Alita is the lead of the movie, and she is a strong female character, but at the end of the day, everything about her is decided by a man. She wouldn't have her powers if it weren't decided for her by a man. She wants to upgrade her powers, but it's decided for her by a man. So you can kind of see why they're like, okay, we're going to latch onto this one, because she's still strong, she's still able to, kick ass and all of that, but at the same time, we're still not we're not giving her full autonomy over herself. And so you can see why they latched onto that one to use to attack Captain Marvel. And that's not saying that Alita fans out there don't actually like the movie. I didn't mind the movie. The effects were great. I actually really liked it, but, I didn't think it was, that great. I think it could have been better, split into 3 mini-movies. And don't you dare criticize it online, because you will get attacked for it. But that's not the point we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Sonic the Hedgehog, which was compared to Birds of Prey, because it came out the week after. Now, I had very low expectations for this movie, because it was a live-action Sonic the Hedgehog. They had spent a lot of time fixing the CG after the outcry over the initial design of Sonic, which I thought was good, and I thought that was a good thing to do. Here's the issue, though. I know they were never going to make a Sonic the Hedgehog movie that was as deep with the references and, leaning into what Sonic is and the more mythical aspects of it that you got from, continuing on the show, the movie, the various games that happened. That said, I feel like with something like this, you can lean in more. Like, look at Detective Pikachu. Detective Pikachu is similar. It's a mixed CG live action. It should have gotten nominated for Best Visual Effects, so that movie had astounding effects. But at the same time, I feel like they leaned in more with the references, and you felt like this was a world that you can relate. Like, this is something that, looking at it, I can say, this is the world that I played in the game. And I can look at Detective Pikachu and be like, when I played Pokemon, this is the world that, that I was playing. And it feels lived in, it feels, real. The issue with Sonic, when you pull Sonic from, instead of having him exist if you did this where you put him in Station Square, for example, or you put him in any of the number of locations native to the Sonic world, you could have done that more. And I think that was a big missed opportunity here, because this doesn't feel like the game I played. This feels like any number of other movies like this, except with a Sonic skin on it. That's not to say it wasn't good. It's like Jim Carrey has a great performance. Who else was there? Sorry, there's one of those, parking lot exchanges of a child that tends to happen. Because I tend to record in the parking lot after I see the movie. It was like a parent passing off from one parent to another, a kid, which isn't weird per se. It's just kind of, it's weird. It's like, it's not a Denny's parking lot, it's a Staples parking lot not far from the movie theater, but still. Either way, Ben Schwartz did a great job as Sonic, but again, I feel like if you're going to make a video game movie, if you're going to make a movie based on a video game, and a beloved video game at that, because Sonic has been around for almost 30 years now. This isn't a new IP that they're messing around with, and they haven't quite figured out what to do with. Although, if you look at the games, you'll see they very much don't know what to do with it, because it didn't quite make that leap from 2D to 3D in a proper way. Now, the thing is, it doesn't feel like the world that we've gotten to know over the last 25, almost 30 years. It feels it's Sonic in the real world, and they really should have out of the game. I hate saying what they should have done or what I would have done if I was, making the movie, but that's something that I would have done. Another thing I loved about this movie, hour and a half. Love the hour and a half movie because it's concise storytelling. You don't get bogged down in dumb subplots, and there was still room to cut in this movie. You still probably could have cut that entire bar scene, and this could have been a short film, and that bar scene was only there to pad it over the feature length runtime. I feel like there were, but that's not knocking that scene. But what else did I want to say about this? I really like the ending. Where he's fighting, where he fights Robotnik like in the video game. He's jumping up and hitting them, hitting them in the cockpit. And I like that he knocked him into Mushroom Hill from Sonic and Knuckles. For anyone who didn't catch that, there were a few websites that ran articles about Easter eggs, and I never once saw that mentioned, which is bizarre to me because Sonic and Knuckles was a huge part of it because it used the what's it called? It had the special kind of a special kind of this is showing my age a little bit, but Sonic and Knuckles had a special cartridge that you can put another cartridge into and play the other cartridge with Knuckles in it. So like you can add Sonic 3 to it, which I think Sonic 3 is pretty hard to find because of Michael Jackson's ties to it or something like that. I don't know. I was very young when Sonic 3 came out, but Sonic and Knuckles allowed you to do that, and it was a pretty popular game. I rented it from American Video like twice or three times because I loved that game so much. And it looked different from Sonic 2, which is the one I had for the Genesis. And it's, I feel like that was something that I don't know why they didn't get picked up on in any of the articles. Like comicbook.com ran an article. All of these sites ran articles about it. And it's like, how did you miss? That's a big one, because it's not like Mushroom Hill is some deep level. It's the first level in the game. It's what Green Hill Zone or Emerald Hill Zone is to Sonic and Knuckles. Or City Escape is to Sonic Adventure 2. Now, I feel like that's kind of the big problem in a lot of video game adaptations, and I think that they should really try to fix that, this one does it well. It keeps the story tight, because you don't really have time to get bogged down in other things. Because, like, Detective Pikachu, if I recall correctly, was kind of short, too, because there's so much for you to take in as you're playing, because it's adapting a video game, that when there's so much for you to take in, there's only so much that you can do. You have to keep the story very concise, very clear, and very on the point. You can't meander. Because, I don't think there's a B plot in this movie. Unless you're going to count Robotnik trying to chase Sonic as the B plot. There really isn't. It's all very focused on what Sonic's doing. Everything revolves around Sonic. Just like in Detective Pikachu, everything kind of revolves around what, I forgot the main character's name is, and Pikachu are doing. But if you have not seen Sonic the Hedgehog yet, I would definitely recommend you go see it. Not to try and, say it's better than Birds of Prey, because it is hands down not better than Birds of Prey. By a long mile. But I think that this movie is actually really good, and it's definitely worth your time to go watch. So if you have not seen it yet, go see it. It's probably not playing in premium theaters. I think The Invisible Man, which is also fantastic, is playing in premium theaters right now. So definitely check it out there. I was talking about getting on about Sonic flossing. That's the least of my concerns with, big corporate things in this movie and big pop culture references. My bigger issue is the constant fucking product placement. And this is something I wanted to talk about before I sign off finally. Why is it with all of these big movies that are based on IP, there's always product placement? Look at fucking Power Rangers. They're all attacking the Krispy Kreme. This is like Olive Garden. His name dropped 3 times. When he pulls out of his house and he's perpendicular to the camera, it's like a car ad for a Dodge. It's perfectly positioned, like you were taking a picture of a car for a website. There was one other really weird one earlier than that. I forgot what it was though. But why do we need this product placement? Especially when Sega is making this movie. At the end of the day, it's Sega with Paramount. I mean, I guess it really is just Paramount and Lionsgate who really do this, but it really isn't necessary. Oh, someone holds a can of something, and it's very particular. They're showing you the label. But yeah, I feel like I don't know. I feel like saying they should have leaned in with Easter eggs is more for my own benefit, because then what I end up doing is when I see a movie like this, it's like it's going to be a very straightforward plot. When you see what the movie is based on a trailer, it's a very straightforward plot. So I'm going to spend a lot of my time looking at the background to see what's there, and if there's nothing there, I kind of feel bored the entire time, and maybe that's just me, but I don't know. So I'm interested to see where they go in a sequel. They did kind of introduce Tails in the post-credit scene. I'm interested to see where they can go with a sequel. I would like to see them lean into the mythos a little bit more. Maybe bring people to the alternate world, go to other alternate worlds, see what's going on there. It would be cool. Because if you look at the games, there's so much stuff that's just so poorly executed in the games that if given a second look could, really do well. Like, Sonic Adventure 2 has one of the worst stories of any video game, and that game is beloved. You can remove Knuckles from that game entirely and miss nothing of the plot. But I feel like Sonic, the Adventure series, has a lot of elements to it that can be lent into making a, thing. Hell, Sonic Adventure takes the Marvel Cinematic Universe formula within the game, where each character has their own movie, and then they come together at the end. With the Infinity Stones, I know it's the Chaos Emeralds, but it basically is the Infinity Saga, where it's like each character has their own little mission, they all end up with the Chaos Emeralds. That lends itself to doing in theatrical now. We know that now, that works. Maybe omit Big the Cat entirely. Maybe, lean in more to the mythological aspect. Maybe just keep it Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, and you wouldn't do that immediately. You would do that, third movie on. But I want to see them kind of do this. And I think that what they've set up in this movie, the next movie is going to be them going and dealing with Knuckles. Because if you remember, Knuckles was originally an enemy who was siding with Eggman. Eggman tricks him into attacking Sonic because Knuckles is an idiot. And they, and then they fight. And then they become friends. So you can do that. You can do Metal Sonic, which would be cool too. From Sonic CD. There's no shortage of characters that you can use in this that would be awesome to see them adapt on the big screen. And I'm really interested to see where they go in the future. And if they can if Warner Brothers is looking at this movie, you have a great way to show off. And I know that they already did it in Days of Future Past and Apocalypse, but you have another great example of how to do speed action for the Flash. So hopefully they were taking notes from there, because that third act fight with Eggman and Sonic, there's a lot that they can pull from. Oh, which reminded me, one last thing I wanted to address. The framing device with the, yeah, that's me, I bet you're wondering how I got there. That only works if he's going to narrate the entire way through the movie. That's also done in Birds of Prey. And it's done well in Birds of Prey, because in Birds of Prey, we go through the entire movie and we see she interjects in, she shows more of the ending. It worked in Deadpool because of the same thing, because we have a fixed point where we're going to pick up, and it's about halfway through the movie, and he's narrating the entire way through. So in this movie, it happens once in the beginning, he never narrates again, and then he gets to the point where he catches up to where the story began, quote-unquote, and he just kind of drops it completely. And I think that's something that, I get it, it's a joke. It's a running joke at this point with the, yeah, I bet you're wondering how I got here. Like in the Scoob trailer before, where it's they do the inner world. They haven't done that seriously since the early 90s, and yet it still gets used anytime they're doing a fake trailer. So I think that was just kind of silly. One final note about trailers I saw before the movie. There was a movie, Rumble, I think it was called, about fighting monsters. That looks pretty cool for an animated movie. I don't think that Scoob looks particularly good. They had a few funny lines, but if that's the bar of, the joke, you want to put the best jokes into the trailer. I think because you want to kind of sell them on it. If that's the best they can do, then I don't think they have that particularly well planned out. And what was the other movie I saw that I wanted to make a note of? Oh, why the fuck are they? I mean, I know why they're making, because the last one made $1 billion, but I don't understand the appeal of the Minions movies. Granted, I don't have kids, so that could be part of it. And what was the other one? There was one other movie that they showed a trailer for that I was like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, the new SpongeBob movie. While the trailer looks funny, I refuse to watch that movie. If for no other reason than this movie is backdoor piloting a TV show. A prequel spin-off of SpongeBob called Camp Coral, which is, in the trailer you see SpongeBob as a little kid, falls on the stairs, and, he meets Gary. this is a backdoor pilot for that. The creator of SpongeBob was very specific that he did not want a spin-off, and now he's been dead for like 2 years, and they're making a spin-off already. So I'm not seeing that movie. I refuse to watch that movie purely out of that. Because that is majorly fucked up by Paramount. But yeah, if Paramount can milk this into a good franchise and maybe pull from some of Sega's other things, like Billy Hatcher or... which, I mean, I don't know how well that would adapt into a movie. But again, I think you can't put it into the real world. I think you'd have to set it in his world. And really, I think it's a Paramount issue about doing that, where it's like, if you look at Marvel, if you look at DC, when they've been successful, they've leaned into the source material, with the exception of Joker. Joker's a notable exception, but Marvel, Fox, DC, anything else adapting an IP, lean into it. Because you have the IP, you're using the IP for a reason. Lean into it. Don't be afraid of it. Don't be like... oh, the costume looks ridiculous. Well, the costume, Kevin Feige was the one who said that. He was like, the costume been sung in the comics since the 40s, since the 50s. So it's not the costume, it's the problem. People have read the book with the costume, they haven't been complaining the costume looks ridiculous. So why don't we just do it exactly as is? And it's the same thing, kind of, here, where it's like, people have been playing Sonic for a long time. It's meant to be marketed to kids. It's a PG movie. I don't understand how... how they can, do that the way, like, how they can be afraid of leaning into it like that. So we'll wrap up there for today. Sunday will be the next episode. Probably do Onward, unless something else opens up that I can do. I can get a screening where it's, like, mostly empty, because I hate going to see kids' movies as a lone man going to see a children's movie opening weekend. I don't know, I feel like I get weird looks. Like, Sonic I saw this weekend. I saw today on a Tuesday at 4:45. The theater was empty except for me. It was beautiful. Oh, and one more thing about the theater going experience. I have witnessed probably the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. I saw a guy. It was a senior. He came out of a movie theater at the end of the movie with a bunch of other people. He goes over to the counter with his empty bucket and says, "Can I have a refill?" They refill it for him. He takes it, puts it into a plastic bag, and leaves. And that was like the most bizarre, but at the same time like ballsiest move I've ever seen. Like, I don't know why it's ballsy to do that. It just seems weird to me. Because, like, if you go to a sporting event, you don't finish your popcorn, you bring it with you. And I guess if you didn't finish the popcorn, you'd bring it with you. But, like, this guy, like, got a refill of his popcorn and came out and just walked out with it. Like, it was insane. So we'll wrap up there for today. Onward on Sunday, and we'll be back with that then. Have a great rest of your week.